Right.
And she has to go see. She can't just stand here on the hill and be like, oh, interesting, let's keep going. This kind of reminds me, though, of when they went into Horner's Mill. Like, they knew they were going into something not great.
Right. Except this is like people she knows.
This would have been like if Rachel had been with them going into Horner's Mill. And her grandma actually existed.
Right.
Yeah, she didn't, so it's not exactly the same. But yeah, I think that's why I get the same feels, because a lot of the same scene happens there that happened here, but on a smaller scale. Once they get down there, the dead are all Galilean soldiers. There's piles of headless bodies and a more messy pile of corresponding heads. The weapons are piled in separate heaps, and it's like this was a mass execution with stations and shit. So, like, they separated the people, and then they had certain people come in and take their weapons and put them where they go, and then one person went through and chopped their heads off, and then more people, like, moved the body. Like, a very organized effort at murdering these people.
A murder machine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kahlan says there's about 5,000 dead men laying all over the battlefield, so it's definitely not an insignificant amount of people.
Oh, no, it's huge. And I mean, yeah, this must have been the rest of their army.
Yeah.
Because we know Cirilla had, like, her faction of dudes up in Aydindril, right? Which Kahlan isn't there for. She doesn't know she doesn't know that the queen isn't in Ebonicia right now.
Right.
So, and all of those guys got murdered up in Aydindril. So this is the rest of the army, who obviously has also been slaughtered.
Right. As of right now, it's not looking very good for any hopes of survivors.
Yeah. But I was also going to say, this is like Ebonicia's army, right? Because Gallia, the country as a whole, probably has a bigger army somewhere, or maybe not.
Well, this is the Crown City, so there's probably tinier little villages that are part of its kingdom, per se, like all spread out. So there's probably militia, maybe? And, because it seems like the Galilean soldiers were all called there. Like, they knew there was going to be a problem before Cyril left. So he probably called all the troops home.
Okay, so this was the whole Galilean army.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming. She tells Prin and Toss to go around the perimeter and find out whatever they can about what happened, who these people were, where they may have came from, where they went, anything you can find. She and Chan are going into the city wall to take a look inside and see what happened in there. Not that it's probably any better, but just to put eyes on the situation, I guess.
Yeah, just so they know.
As they're walking through the carnage, Chan points out to her that these people had no chance. He apparently knows a lot about, like, warfare and shit for a little guy in a little village, because he tells her that they were defeated by large numbers. You would never want to be put in these small confined areas that these people fought in, unless you were being fought by a large army, and that was, like, strategic to make sure that they couldn't spread out around you.
So, like, tactically, if you have to fight a lot of dudes, it's better to do it in close combat situation so the army can't get around you so easily and overwhelm you.
Right, like a bottleneck type situation to where you don't want to be out on the battlefield. You don't want to bring the fight to where they want you to bring them, because they have more people. They could just surround you in a big circle and kill you.
So, like, fighting an army in the middle of a bridge, they can only send one man at a time.
Right.
You take out one guy, and then one guy, you don't have to worry about being, like, completely surrounded by 100 guys.
Right.
Makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Plus, there's old men and boys, and these people would not be fighting if there was half a chance that there was going to be survival. They had to have known they were going to die for the people to send this line of defense forward. They had heard the soldiers outside being killed. So the boys and the old men are fighting to protect the women and, the core of whoever else is there, because there's no other chance. They know this is life or death. If they get through the old men and the boys, everybody's dead.
It's their last-ditch effort.
Yes.
They're going to send out all their prime soldiers first, and then, even your second string and third string, and your very young boys and your old men, considered the weaker of the men, obviously.
Yeah.
For good reason. They have to go out because, you still go out before a woman or a little girl.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Well, and that's what Chan's saying. They are brave, because if they weren't, they would have just all huddled in a in a circle together and died together. But these men went out knowing the numbers and the chance of death, and they still went.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, at this point, either it's going to happen to you hiding in your little hidey hole, or it's going to happen to you while you're at least trying to stop it.
Yeah, take out a couple as you can.
Yeah, it's going to suck to die either way, but at least you can try to do some good, and at least maybe you'll kill one guy.
Yeah.
That's one less person that they have now.
That's one more fuck you to those people.
That's right. You give them every single one that they deserve.
You go down with double finger rockets up in the air.
Yes.
So.
Love middle finger rockets. Yeah.
Kahlan notes that there's no bodies of the attackers. She knows of several nations that do not believe in leaving bodies of their dead with the enemies where they die. They believe in taking them back and dealing with that separately so that the spirits can't plague them, all that spiritual shit.
Yeah. Yep.
One nation in particular comes to her mind, and I'm assuming this is Kelton, just because she already knew there was a plot to destroy them. We don't know anything about Keltons, but I'm just going to take a wild guess that they probably have those beliefs, because we're pretty sure that that's who this is.
Yeah, I mean, it's who everybody's been talking about, Glia and Kelton.
And they're right next door.
Makes perfect sense.
So as they're walking, they walk past an herb shop, and Chan is fucking flabbergasted by it. He's like, Nissel would be amazed. And they head inside. They see drawers thrown everywhere, and he finds this drawer filled with kwasindo. Right? I said that right?
Yeah. Yep.
It's a plant you can eat to counteract the 10-step arrows, which apparently are not near as deadly as we've been being told, unless you get shot in the fucking neck.
Yeah, unless you get a real kill shot. Essentially, it depends on how fast the poison can get into your blood.
Yeah.
It seems like if you do get stuck in the neck, then you have the 10-step arrow. Yeah. But if you get it in the leg, and you can slow it down, and it takes a little longer to get to your heart, I'm still assuming it's going to make you, like he said, if you have a little bit, it'll make you sick. If you have a little more, it'll make you die, but it'll take a long time. So
yeah.
It would still be bad, but this kwasindo gives them a chance to counteract that.
And maybe because they don't have the kwasindo, they're it is poison. Because even if you get nicked in the leg, you could have all the time in the world, but it's still gonna fucking get you. So we're all just gonna sit here and be like, you want a pipe or something?
It's still gonna be fucking awful, yeah. And they typically have pouches of this when they're dealing with their poison-tipped arrows, because people get nicked and shit all the time.
Or they used to, preferably they would, but they haven't for a while, is what he was saying.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, if they didn't have something like this, then the only people who would be making poison arrows and bows are the people who have been fortunate enough to not have made that mistake.
Yeah. If you fucked up once, then, sorry.
This is our oldest poison-tipped arrow maker. He's 12.
It's only a matter of time before you actually
right?
stick yourself.
That's got to be the shittiest feeling ever, when you turn around and you scrape your arm, you're like, oh shit, oh shit.
Chan tells Kahlan his people can't get this shit anymore. They used to trade a whole bunch when they could get it, but the people they could get it from can't get it anymore. The supply has dried up, and they would trade a lot of shit to get as much as he just found. He just found a pile of it. And Kahlan's like, dude, take it. And he's a stand-up dude. He's like, no, this doesn't belong to me. And Kahlan is like, I'll pay for it later. It's fine. Just take it. Which was funny to me. That she was immediate. They're dead. So they don't need it anymore.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be using it anytime soon, bud. So just go ahead and take it. And, we'll send him a letter with the money if that'll make you feel better after.
Yes. But then Kahlan, when he doesn't agree to that, Kahlan's like, just take it as my payment, because now it's mine, because I said I'll pay for it later. So it's my payment to you for all the shit you're doing for me, which I thought was just a funny, justification. It worked, but...
Guy like Chandlin would be like, I didn't see you put any money down, so just go ahead and leave that there on the counter, and then we'll talk.
Yeah.
Just to spite her.
Yeah. I don't believe you,
Knowing
witch woman.
damn well nobody is going to pick up that cash, other than maybe him. But it's useless to them for the most part, so.
Yeah, she'll send Prin and Toss back in there later to grab it up. They leave the shop and continue walking, and Chan wonders how this many people can be supported in one place, because it doesn't make sense, because, like, they provide for themselves with crops and shit, you know? Kahlan explains they specialize in certain things and use gold and silver to get the things they can't trade for. It becomes a whole capitalism lesson here.
Mm-hmm. The whole money talk. This is how it works. This is how it should work. These are the ideas that keep it running.
Yeah.
It's pretty preachy.
The
here.
giant machine.
Yeah.
When she explains what gold is, Chan reveals there are holes to the north near the Mud People's village that you can get this soft yellow metal out of, but they don't because the air is bad. It's worthless. They can't make shit out of it. They let the Bontok take whatever they want because they don't care, and they said that their spirits like it. I'm like, you got played, man.
Yeah, no shit. Like, I think it's hilarious that this stuff is worthless to him because it's a soft metal. That's the problem. Yeah, it looks really pretty, but you can't really make weapons. You can't for sure make tools. You could probably make some weapons, but they wouldn't be effective against any sort of defense. So yeah, you could have a gold arrow or a golden knife, and it would work against a person, but you couldn't, like, stab through a hardened wooden shield. It would never work.
Right.
So I think it's funny that because of that reason, even though it's pretty, and Chan knows other people like the gold, he doesn't give a shit about it because it is actually useless to him. They don't need it to trade for money, and they can't use it for weapons, so it's just worthless shit.
Yeah, it's just stuff in the bad air, and they're like, whatever, we don't really care about it.
Right.
Kahlan asks if anybody else knows about it, and he's like, no, like, we kill outsiders? Why would we tell them? She tells him to keep it that way, and he's like, okay, was planning to.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Again, makes no more sense to him because it's useless to him. Why do we need to keep this a secret? Nobody gives a shit if it's here.
Kahlan tells him otherwise people are going to steal it and hurt the Mud People to do so, and he tries to be all macho man about it until she points out how many people they just saw dead, and so he's like, okay. We can't handle all the problems that could come for us if it was something like that.
Yeah, for a minute he was saying, well, I'm the protector, so that won't be an issue. And then she kind of reminds him that, hey, there's an army out there that just killed 5,000 dudes at least. So if they came for it.
What are you going to do?
Right, you stand no chance. So don't get cocky, okay?
Right.
Just be smart.
Chan says the Mud People's way of living is better than the whole system that all these people have. And Kahlan's like, you're basically doing the same thing. Example, Nissel's a healer. The people come together to make sure she gets what she needs so she can help them. Here, that's called a tax. Everybody pays a little support to those who work for the people. That's how Kahlan eats. They make it seem like that's just how she eats, but she also lives in this giant-ass palace.
Yeah.
And has a lot of really nice things that are paid for by tax.
Oh, I'm sure that's all paid for by taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you're not just eating off the people's money. Let's just be clear about that.
If by eating you mean living extremely extravagantly and very well, then sure,
yeah.
You're eating.
Yeah. They continue walking through the death and chatting, you know. It's weird because I feel like during a lot of this chapter, they're walking through carnage, and he keeps mentioning that they're walking through carnage, but their actions don't. Like, Kahlan's disgusted, but she's still nonchalantly talking about capitalism and, like, the ins and outs of economics without flinching that much at what's going on around them.
Yeah, I think I would be a little bit more preoccupied with, the death.
Yeah, I just feel like I could be like, we'll talk about this after. Because right now, my brain, like, this is a lot. You see everything around us? I can't process this and talk to you about all the shit you don't know.
I don't see Kahlan looking out at this field of death and being like, you know what you two need to learn about? Finance.
Yeah.
I mean, I get she is looking out for them by telling them to, kind of keep it covered up. If they don't want to do anything with it, fine, but just not the time. Just not the time.
Yeah,